Welcome to a very itchy edition of Nothing But Worry. This cold, dry air is killing my skin. My legs are itching, my arms are itching. Hello everyone. This is Lance speaking to you. I'm sitting next to Bonnie.
Hello.
And had the in-laws over earlier tonight for Bonnie's father's birthday. Had a big homemade Indian meal, listened to some music. Nice to present or show them some music they've never heard before.
Yeah, like Echo and the Bunnymen.
Yeah, your father was really taken with the church.
Yep, that's true.
I sent them videos of almost everything we heard.
Okay.
I'm starting to not feel too well because my endocrinologist... I had a bone scan. Some of the medicine I take leaches calcium out of my bones. And so I had a bone density scan a couple weeks ago. And she said, well, looks like you're in danger of fractures or whatever. So she's prescribed a once a week pill to take. And it's all these precautions and possible side effects, and it causes esophageal upset, stomach upset, and can cause ulcers, it can cause jaw pain, it can cause weird bone growths in your knees, and blah, 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 blah. I started it last weekend, and started to have upset stomach last weekend, and I'm starting to feel it now. I took it about 20 minutes ago or so, 15, 20 minutes ago, and I'm starting to feel just, it's like a heartburn sensation, sort of. But anyway, I may not be able to continue taking this shit. What else has been going on? Anything with you, Bonnie?
I'm traumatized by the first week of Trump's administration.
And you're working on another... Bonnie's been writing a lot of editorials about it, so you're working on one tonight?
Yeah, I am. That was an interesting article in The Guardian. The headline was, it's safe to be a white male again in America, according to the conservative outlets this week. And my response was, is it ever going to be safe to be a woman in America? Because, we're at a disadvantage. There are people talking about rescinding a woman's right to vote at this point. We have a rapist as the President of the United States. A rapist as Secretary of Defense. It's amazing the number of people in his administration that are outwardly anti-woman. So my question is, will it ever be safe to be a woman?
Well, I had a 3-day weekend, and used it to go out and get some errands done. One of which was, Jules Pfeiffer. His first name's Jules, isn't it?
Yes, dear.
Jules Pfeiffer died. And the funny thing is, I had just been researching late 50s, early 60s humor and social/cultural issues. He was right in the middle of all that when he first started making a splash with his work. So I went to the University Library this weekend and got a couple of books, compilations of his work that I hadn't seen before. And did that. Went to some bookstores looking for some French stuff. Couldn't really find anything. Trying to think.
The pharmacy.
The what?
Pharmacy.
Went to the pharmacy. Yeah.
You got gas. You got tea.
Yeah. Took you to the doctor.
Yeah, took me to the doctor. Went to the Fresh Market, got a cake for my dad's birthday.
I was shocked that Bonnie's mother. Do you want to say mother or stepmother?
Stepmom.
Bonnie's stepmother was familiar with Alice Cooper. I didn't. She's more on the Neil Young, Crosby, Stills and Nash side of things, really. But she said that she liked Alice Cooper, early Alice Cooper. She remembered listening to him back in high school.
Yeah, she was rather disappointed you didn't have any Stephen Stills in your collection. Right.
I wish I had the first maybe 2 Crosby, Stills and Nash albums. I'm not familiar with them at all. That's one of the blind spots in my musical knowledge. But I've been listening to Alice Cooper a lot lately. Early stuff, not his later shit. I found out something interesting. He's got a. I was looking at pictures of him this weekend. He's got a horrible scar down by his navel. I looked up what happened in high school. He had really bad appendicitis and he almost died. And so he had this big operation, and he missed a whole year of school. He graduated a year late because of it.
We discovered something else this week. We discovered that you have a giant scar across the top of your head.
Which I have no knowledge of where it came from.
No memory of it. And the scar is more pronounced than the one from 2017 when they removed that giant tumor from the front of your head.
Yeah, but it's not, that scar.
No, I mean, it's the one that we discovered this week is darker in color.
Yeah, but it's not, the one from my operation from 7 years ago, I'm missing hair. It's like a line of baldness, This one, the hair is there, but it's a big dent in my head. It's like maybe 4 or 5 inches long. 4 inches, 4.5 inches long.
Ask your dad about that, because your mom has no memory of things now.
Yeah. But it's, now that I'm going bald, I can feel it.
Several inches long, like 4 inches long.
Yeah, it's like
I have no idea how this could happen to you, and you don't know about it.
I think that I had several head injuries as a child, and it may have contributed to God knows what horrible mental, emotional, physical detriments down the road, I tell you something, I found out this past week. Okay.
I'm sending you back.
Where?
I don't know.
The husband factory?
Yes, the husband factory.
Back in the 60s, there was a shitty TV show called My Favorite Martian with Ray Walston and Bill Bixby.
Oh my God.
Well, they had an animated Saturday morning version of it when I was a little kid, and I remember it. I remember it being just stupid, horrible. But here's the interesting thing. For some reason, it popped up in my memory, and I looked it up a couple days ago. It was on TV in 1973, which means I was 4 years old. And that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is that at 4 years old, I was able to be discriminating enough to realize how crappy it was, which is quite interesting. There was a recurring trope, I guess there is the right word, where somebody would get chased through the house and fall out the window and land in the rain barrel outside the house.
Oh God!
And I just, as a kid, thought, oh, they do this every goddamn episode. It just got tiresome. What else is going on? Yeah, I'm pretty upset about all the stuff happening with Trump coming back in, but I just can't get too upset. I can't worry about, because worry does no good.
They're constantly, it's like a Scooby-Doo moment. The Republicans are constantly having their mask pulled off, and you see them for what they really are, and this week was perfect for that. They went to the National Cathedral, and the bishop there gave a sermon, and at the end, she asked that the president show mercy and compassion for those who are fearful at this time, those who are gay, those who are immigrants, those who are vulnerable, those who are trans. And it was straight out of New Testament Jesus speak. And I mean, if she had been talking about the Sermon on the Mount, I think she would have gotten the same response. And all the Republicans and Trump came out with, oh, she's terrible and she's nasty and all that kind of nonsense.
And she wasn't even criticizing him.
No,
she was just
mercy
asking
and
him.
concern and compassion.
That's right.
But these people, they tolerate no weakness at all. They don't believe in mercy. And this
Everybody has to get on board as a cheerleader, or else you're an enemy.
This week they really showed their real face. That mask was torn off, and you had people like Moses Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, who is Mr. High and Mighty and has a covenant marriage and all this other bullshit with his Christianity. And he was critical of what she was saying, asking for mercy. And then our idiot fucking congressman, Mike Collins, is that his name? Said she should be deported.
Deported?
What the fuck? Deported. To where? She's from here.
But
And
more
he's
than
gonna
that,
ship her husband and her sons off too?
and more than that, the subtext of that is you'll either conform or you'll be cast out of the country. You'll be declared persona non grata, and your citizenship will be taken away, and your property confiscated. You know, we're one step away from the concentration camps. You know,
They harbor no dissent. Nothing. It's
and the oh God, who was it? Well, anyway, Trump gave this speech to the Davos gathering of
super billionaires.
and criticizing the EU. And somebody pointed out everything he said in the speech was a lie. Every single bit of it was wrong. And this whole thing is just.
Oh, the other thing this week was Elon gave the Nazi salute not once but twice. The German newspapers called him out for it. I mean, I think the Germans can tell you if it's a fucking Nazi salute or not.
Yeah,
they recognized it as such, and they blurred it out on the front page of their newspapers because it's such an offensive gesture to this day. And then if you go online, there is a group called Led by Donkeys. They have a video out now, and the title of it is Heil Tesla. And somebody this past week went to the Tesla factory in Germany, and they displayed on the Tesla building a movie. And the ending of it was Nazi salute Elon and the words Heil in front of the Tesla on the building. But the movie that was put forth shows all of Elon's support for white nationalists, for pro-Nazi groups, for the, ADF in Germany, that are just a throwback to the Nazi movement. It details his support of people around the world who support these ideas, these fascist, neo-Nazi beliefs. And it's wonderful. So, Led by Donkeys, Heil Tesla. is the name of the video. You should absolutely check it out.
Yeah, but American media is like, he made an unusual gesture. He made a curious gesture. They won't say it. They won't say, because everybody in America is so wrapped up in, squeezing every penny out that we
They
can't.
want access to this asshole Trump, and they're scared of getting cut off.
I need some facts and figures, but apparently lots of people are dumping Twitter. Lots of people are moving on. Lots of businesses are dropping their Twitter accounts. And so, who knows? I mean, you can say, oh, well, Trump was reelected. That means the American people are for him. It's not even 50%, because 85 million people who were eligible to vote didn't vote. So it's like a third of the country was disinterested, and
And then those who did vote, he didn't even get 50% of the vote. And then the difference between him and Kamala is like a 1.5%. He didn't even get that 50% threshold.
Well, the point I'm making is a lot of people, business people, have realized, well, there's still a huge amount of American people who are turned off by this. We can't alienate them.
But this week, Walmart and Target have announced they're doing away with the diversity programs. The reason that these diversity programs exist is because there are inequities in the system.
Somebody on YouTube said in the comments about that Pete Hegseth was a DEI hire, and I said, well, in Hegseth's case, DEI stands for drunken, ethically challenged, and incompetent.
I heard the joke was he was the DUI hire.
Yeah. Well, oh God, I'm getting sleepy. I'm not allowed to eat or drink anything of substance.
You can't lay down
several
for an hour,
hours.
too.
I need to sit up better. Yeah, it's supposed to stay erect for half an hour after you take the pill.
Oh, really? This is interesting.
Stay upright. Sorry. But I'm getting sleepy. I can't wait for that couple hours to pass so I can have some caffeine. Oh God. I ate so much the last 2-3 days.
Now we've got all these leftovers from the meal because I made so much food.
Yeah, so I thought that the meal tonight was pretty good, but I had already eaten so much earlier today. Bonnie made this. It's mushrooms, fake chicken strips, or fake chicken bits, and what do you cook it with to make that brown sauce?
It's Chipotle, Cholula sauce. It isn't really in a sauce. I saute an onion.
Okay.
And then I add in a little bit of garlic juice from the minced garlic, and several green onions, and then the mushrooms, and then the fake chicken eventually, and the Chipotle, Cholula Chipotle sauce.
So then you toast some maybe loaf bread sized naan, and lay Swiss cheese on it. Put the mushroom and fake chicken mixture on top, and then add a little more Cholula, the Chipotle Cholula, and just eat it like a sort of mini wrap. And I had 4 of these when I got home from running around today, and then fell asleep. My sleep has been off this weekend.
Do you know the story of how I came up with that? The last time that I was having to drive you to Atlanta during your seizure period, I was stopping in at the QT every night and a half and trying to refill the tank. And they had a sign at the QT pumps that says, "Come in and try our new grilled chicken and mushroom wrap."
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it each night for several weeks, and I was like, this looks good. This looks really good. And I finally realized, you can do a vegetarian version of this, girl. So, yeah. And the naan is garlic naan that we put it on, so
You
it's
know,
really nice.
the only thing to make it better is some torn up pieces of fresh spinach. I've been eating a lot of fresh spinach lately, and that's with my wrap that I make, where I take a tortilla and I put any Szechuan chutney or maybe some red pepper paste or anything like that. Back when I was eating a lot of gochujang, I'd put that on there, and then slice up some Swiss cheese in little tiny bits, and then put some spinach on it, wrap it up, and nuke it in the microwave 30 seconds. And it's really good, and it's an easy way to. Oh, and Bonnie had made maybe a pint and a half of egg salad, and there was half of it was
quart.
half of it was still in the refrigerator. And I said, "Can I have this?" Oh yeah. So I made my Swiss cheese and spinach wrap, and then as I ate it, I would slap on a spoonful of egg salad on the top of it every time for each bite, and it was so good. That's the kind of thing that makes me wish I was still drinking soda pop, because that would be good with a fresh, cold Coca-Cola. But I don't drink that kind of crap anymore. That stuff is deadly for you.
I can't remember the last time I had a soda. I really can't.
I don't know how we survived childhood, because when we were kids, it was
All the
just
time.
there was nothing wrong with candy and soda pop. Just guzzle it.
Yeah, I remember sugar daddies
Yeah.
were all the rage. You remember those? They would
Yeah.
stick to your fucking teeth.
We ate candy as kids like crazy. I would
And then
never.
the cereals were full of sugar too.
Yeah, and you'd add sugar.
Yeah. Well, you would. I would.
But like with cornflakes, you add, my mother, you add sugar to it. She grew up the same way. When she was a little girl back in the late 40s, early 50s, that's what you did. She said she just lived on candy and Coca-Cola. And I would never allow a child to eat like that today. When the varsity was still open,
God, this story.
Peter must have been 3, and we had a great big. We'd ordered a big thing of iced tea with the meal, and he stood up in the booth and just leaned over it like a bird, and was just guzzling this. It's terrible. As a human, you're programmed to want sugar and fat, and it's not good for you. What was it? Oh, I was watching. Do you know who Mr. Beast is? He's the biggest YouTuber on the planet.
I've seen him referenced.
Supposedly he's worth $500 million. But anyway, he has his own line of candy bars, and they're marketed to children, and they're just loaded with sugar. And he was George was pointing out the amount of sugar in one of these candy bars is like 1/3 the recommended amount for an adult for a day. And
A couple years ago, Peter went to the Marigold Festival, and they had peach lemonade. And he was telling me about it. So he and I were at the gas station one day. I said, let's go see if they have this, a peach lemonade. And we got the car. He goes, you want a sip? I said, oh, that's good, but I can't have that. That's just so sweet. And so we looked at the back of it, and it was like 110% of the recommended daily allowance of sugar. And I was like, oh my God.
Years ago, I saw something that studies had shown that children have a higher tolerance for salt and sugar than adults do. And they get you addicted young to this shit, and some people never break it, but I can't stand candy now. Occasionally I'll eat chocolate, but that's about it.
Tonight we had that cake from the fresh market, and you're like, oh, this is so sweet. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, I can't eat that crap. I worked with a woman at North Metro who loved candy, and she even had a. I don't know if this is an actual place or not, but or a store, but she had a T-shirt that said Candytopia on it, and I don't know, I can't. And first time I ever drank coffee, I always added lots of milk and sugar to it, but. And sweet tea, that's a big thing in the South. I guess it's nationwide now.
I got to the point where I have my tea. I'm having tea again, yes, in the mornings, and I have it with my oat milk, and I use sweet and low because I realized I didn't need the extra added sugar.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing a sugar substitute. I can't stand the bitterness of tea, whereas you love the bitterness of tea.
Yeah, I think it contributes to the feeling I get from it. But yeah, when I was a kid, it was much more common to make tea with saccharin, and you had a certain number of saccharin tablets that you would count out for making a gallon of tea.
Oh God, that stuff was sweet.
My grandmother swore by saccharin.
Oh, my mama had it all the time. As a matter of fact, she had the Lipton iced tea jar that the instant stuff was in.
Mm-hmm.
She used it as her tea glass, and she would pack it full of ice and pour the tea over it, and put a straw in it, and she'd keep it in the fridge so she could go in there and just pull it out and walk around the house with it, and then go in there and fill it back up and keep it cold in the fridge. And she had, I don't know how much saccharin. And I remember her counting out the tablets to put in when she made her teas, because it wasn't enough that the instant tea she got came sweetened. She had to add saccharin to it too. Mm-hmm. It was nasty.
I can't stand the taste of saccharin. It's just this. I don't know what it is. It's funny to find out saccharin's been around like 100 years. Remember that there was a scare about it in the 80s. It caused cancer in lab rats.
Was that what was in Tab?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think they brought Tab back a couple of years ago. I don't think I've ever had one. Maybe
they bring
a
back
little
all
kid.
the bad things. I mean, look what happened with Trump 2.0.
Yeah. Ow. You know, that's one thing about Back to the Future that I thought was
What?
stupid. When he goes back in time, he goes to a diner and he orders a Tab. Well, of course, they didn't have Tab back in the 50s, but the movie is set in like 84. They didn't have Tab in 84 either. How would he know about Tab? It was gone by that point. That guy that played the short order cook in that diner, he was in everything back in those days. This rough New Yorker type guy, stereotypical.
What musicians were in it? Do you remember? There was a musician.
Huey Lewis plays
right.
the teacher who's vetting candidates for the talent show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved that movie when it first came out.
Peter and I watched a clip of it. No, it was part of it was the video for the big song with it. And I realized I have no memory of that movie at all.
Really?
I watched it. I know that I watched it. But I don't remember.
I went to see it with my parents.
Calvin Klein.
Yeah. That, the woman who played his mother, she disappeared without a trace. And the guy who played his father was the one who had the freak out on the Letterman show.
What?
Yeah. That's not Matthew Modine, it's, oh God, I can't think of his name.
Crispin Glover?
Crispin Glover. He started acting weird while Letterman was interviewing him. And Letterman cued, we're going to a commercial, and when they came back, he was gone.
What happened?
he started talking about, I'm so strong, and he stood up and started doing karate chops and kicks, and Letterman said, okay, we're going to a commercial.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that was pretty much killed his career. There was a time when I got him confused with Matthew Modine, another person who's disappeared.
Oh my God.
Matthew Modine was in he was in God damn it, Vision Quest, and he was in
Vision Quest.
Full Metal Jacket.
What was Vision Quest?
Matthew Modine was a high school kid who was on the wrestling squad, and he lived with his father, who was played by Ronnie Cox. And he
Ooh, that guy.
he was in training for some wrestling championship. Well, no, he was like the champion of the school, but he had to lose weight because he wanted to wrestle in this other category.
Yeah.
And oh God, this older woman,
Uh-oh.
her car breaks down in their town, and it'll be a couple of weeks before it can get fixed. So she lives with them while she's waiting for the car to get fixed, and she's like exciting because she's like a couple of years older, and he has sex with her, and I can't think of the name of the chick who played her.
What's the name of the movie again?
Vision Quest.
Oh my God, this sounds terrible.
It was pretty bad, yeah. And I went to see it with two friends of mine from high school, and there was a scene where they're fucking in the dark, and she's like in silhouette, and you can like see her tits in the silhouette. And I must have blinked because I missed it. We got in the car to go, and they're both like, "Oh, you can see her tits. You can see her tits." I was like, "Oh shit, I must have missed that part." It wasn't Mary Beth Mastrantonio. It was but it was somebody like that. It might have been her. I can't remember. Yeah, it's just one of those just shitty 80s movies that come and go. Some people have nostalgia for it, but I don't. God, all those horrible movies back then. Oh, God. All that shit. I cannot believe that James Spader had a comeback, a second career. Unbelievable. And bald. I mean, my God, that mop of hair he had was his selling point.
Yeah, remember he actually has. He's also done. He did the Brat Pack stuff, but then he went through that phase when he did Stargate, and then he did some kind of legal show on TV, and then at some point or another he lost his hair and did the Blacklist period on TV. And it's like, this guy just keeps going and going.
Meanwhile, what's his name?
Who?
His friend in
Andrew McCarthy.
Andrew McCarthy disappeared without a trace.
He's now directing things like Blacklist and all those kind of shows. Yeah. He's behind the camera now.
Speaking of the movie Stargate, something has always bothered me about it. when he and Kurt Russell go to the other planet. Okay. James Spader is trying to make contact with the high priest guy, trying to communicate with him, and he pulls out a candy bar like a Babe Ruth, and unwraps it and hands it to him like, Now, if you've never seen a Baby Ruth candy bar before, and somebody hands it to you,
it looks like shit.
Wouldn't you think it was a turd?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Smell it. I'm not going to smell the turd. What do you... And eat it? What?
These people are probably eating scorpions, so you know.
Oh, God. And the thing is, the TV show was so much better than the movie. That is a rare example. Well, MASH, another example, way better than the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
The movie's terrible.
It is awful.
Did you know that David Soul starred in a TV version of Casablanca. He played Rick.
I think I'm going to throw up.
Very early 80s, yeah.
Now, suddenly, you know what I'm picturing?
What?
I just went to the whole Beastie Boys thing where they do that,
Sabotage. They do an
yes,
homage to
yes.
all those 70s cop shows, detective shows, yeah.
Now, can you imagine them doing the Casablanca?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Beastie Boys are such a great band. Any band that has humor but isn't a comedy band is a cut above everybody else.
E for my name.
That's speaking of Alice Cooper. That's one of the things about Alice Cooper that the original Alice Cooper, they were sort of always tongue in cheek, and then later when he went solo, it just, it's a bunch of crap. I think he tried to maintain some humor, but it's not quite the same. Oh God, that's one of those classic examples of where, you wish you could change history. But I was thinking about this today. As a kid, I didn't listen to pop music, and I had no idea, no knowledge of what was going on. I think a lot of the time, if you have an older sibling, that's what is your entryway into broader culture. But I remember Elton John and Kiss when I was a kid, even though I had no interest in them and I knew nothing. But I don't remember David Bowie or Alice Cooper at all in the 70s. They weren't. It wasn't something that was talked about. But Elton John was everywhere. The Bee Gees for a while were everywhere. I'm trying to think who else I remember back in those days. Do you remember the song? I think the name of the band was Hughes Corporation. Rock the Boat, don't tip the boat over.
Yeah, I know the song.
I remember that being everywhere for a while. And who was the other person I met? I remember Kiss because it was a big deal. They had trading cards and merchandise and toys and crap everywhere back then. I remember the movie.
Oh, God.
It was terrible. It was terrible. We had a Halloween party at church, and he came in costume. And my cousin, who's about 3 years younger than I am, he showed up dressed as Ace Frehley, which is mind-boggling today.
Well, his stepdad was big into the latest music and whatever was popular, though.
Yeah, he was the kind of guy that watched Austin City Limits, which is similar to your parents, really.
Yeah.
He had a big record collection, and when I would go over there once in a while, I would thumb through the records, even though I wasn't interested in listening to them, just to look at the covers. And he had the Rolling Stones "Some Girls" album, the LP, and I remember being just fascinated with that cover. So
Is that the one where the guys are all dressed up like women?
Yeah, and I didn't want to admit that I wanted to sample it. I must have been 13, 14, something like that. And so I put it under my shirt and smuggled it out of the house. And they lived across the street from us. And I took it in my room and put it on the turntable. And I listened to like the first 10 seconds of every song just to see what it was like. And I was just like, this is baffling. I couldn't get my mind around it.
That's sad that you didn't. God. You had such a limited upbringing.
Yeah. And, my dad was the kind of person that just, oh, these long-haired hippies. Bunch of,
I remember going over to my dad's house, and he's like, "You want to listen to the new Boston album?"
wow.
And yeah, I know, it's the one with the big spaceship and everything. And just putting it on and listening, just back to back.
No. Like I said before, my parents were incurious about almost everything.
You didn't really get into Boston until after you and I were married because we got the album for some reason or another, and you put it on one of our trips to Atlanta, and I started singing along with every single fucking song on that album. And you're like, how do you know this?
When I first got into rock and roll, Boston was a little bit too soft for me because I wanted the heavy stuff only. You know.
But that's the thing. I just had a constant supply of good music. You had to pick and choose what you had later on, whereas you were too protected, quite honestly, Lance. And I was just out there in the normal universe.
The normal universe.
That's right, babe. The normal. I was a normie.
Well, yeah. Okay. I think we're going to wrap it up in a second.
Yeah, I'm falling asleep in your lap.
I'm about to fall asleep too. I don't know when I'm going to be allowed to. We need to take a look at the paperwork for that medicine so I can see when I can have something to drink. Oh God.
I think it prevents absorption or something.
Yeah.
So,
Which is probably a good thing because it's going to make me sick. Anyway, all right. Any final thoughts about anything at all? I feel like we've missed something.
oh, we could bitch all week about what all's happened, but no, we're not going to.
Okay. Well, I guess that's about it. So we'll see everybody next week. Bye.